Hey y'all, it is your host, Jennifer Vanderbeek of scrapsoflife.com, and today is May 29th, Sunday, and that makes this the week 21 Create Brilliance update. Hi, how are you? I am I'm still in Phoenix, and it is not even noon for me yet. I haven't been up that long, to be honest, and so I'm still a little sleepy. I'm still waking up, but I'm here, and I'm ready to give you my update for this week. I hope you're doing well. It has been very warm here. Not as bad as when it was here in August. But we did have, it's been in the low hundreds. It's been like 103, 104 in that range for the this past week. So yeah, it's been warm, but it's been eminently bearable. So that's good. I this was our back to work week, so my partner was back to work, and therefore I was back to work, and I was able to do my Twitch streams, and I was able to work on the book, and also we did some fun things as well. We went and saw Maverick a couple of days before it opened to the general public. And I will say that Maverick was very well done. They did enough callbacks and homage to the original, um, for the longtime fans, but also it was just a very good movie. They did it very well. So 2 thumbs up. And then we also went to the aquarium for their fish and sips, which is kind of like the zoo's roars and pours, which is it's an evening 21 plus event. They sell alcohol, and they have music playing, and you just have an evening walkthrough of the aquarium, which was really cool. Enjoyed that quite a bit. We've we've continued our Marvel binge. We are now through, we just finished last night, we just finished Hawkeye, which was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I was like, Clint Barton / Hawkeye. I was not really a huge Hawkeye fan, so I was like, okay, yeah, they're doing a series for him, great. But I did not seek it out to watch it, but since we're watching everything in order, we watched it, and it was very good. The only thing we have left in our Marvel binge is Moon Knight. So we'll start that sometime this week and get through it before I head back to the East Coast, I'm sure. Before I get into the book, I will show my knitting progress. It's kind of it's hard to see right now. But I am making a lot of progress on this. Again, the idea or the light bulb to use all of the stitch markers. I'll show you. They look kind of like the little round paper, or safety pins that you sometimes get on clothing, to attach the tags to. Yeah, these work as stitch markers as well, and they're all different colors in this case. But and these work for knitting as well as crochet, because they can be, attached to a stitch as opposed to just the needle or cable. But yeah, I think I mentioned last time that each row is made up of, for this section, is made up of 8 repeats, 8 stitch repeats. And on when I first started doing this section down here, where we changed, wrong way, where we changed from the darker, I know the lighting in here is a little bright, but you're just gonna have to work with me here. There we go. So when I started to change from the darker to the lighter, well, it's actually both colors in there. It was only a few repeats, and so I could keep up with those. But this row, which is the beginning, so there's this section of rows. It's like row 9 to, I don't even know. I don't have the pattern in here with me. But yeah, there's this chunk of rows that you do 5 times, and each time you go through them, the number of repeats per section increases by 2 repeats. And so while I only started out with like 5 repeats of those 8 count sections, now I'm up to 27 on this one, and it goes up to 33. So yeah, keeping up with that many repeats is, oh, that's a lot. And so the stitch counters are definitely helping me. And I think that, there's kind of a lesson in there. It's kind of like the work harder, not smart, or work smarter, not harder. But it's also kind of a, there are tools out there that we can use to help us, and being able to see our progress is really important, which I will come back to in a moment. The other part of this pattern, which makes it a little bit more, I'm not as, not difficult, but um, maybe mentally taxing, maybe, you need that attention to detail, is because it's what's called short rows. Which granted, I'm over 200 stitches in every row now, but basically, as I'm going through and doing this 8 count repeat, and it's a different 8 count repeat each row, I'm not going to the end of the work. I haven't made it there yet, you can see. So you can see that there is a change going on. Maybe you can see. I'm being careful so I don't drop any stitches. The first section down here gradually gives way to the second section in an angle. And what is happening is you're knitting to a certain point and then turning and working back. And so this is creating some of the shaping of the shawl. And so it's not just that you're doing a repeat all the way to the end and then coming back. It's that you really have to pay attention to where you're stopping in order to keep that diagonal straight, or diagonal in this case. But bum. At any rate, um, it's a fun project, and I'm really happy that I'm on the 5th and final repeat of this particular section. However, this is the color work section, and it eventually, when it's finished and blocked out, you will be able to see little chevrons, working their way through what's called the mosaic stitch. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see when it's all said and done. But yeah, so of course, the book 4, which I still don't have a good title for. I'm still futzing with title options. I'll get there before the book releases. It won't just be called book 4 forever. But yeah, I'm so close to the end of the first draft. Not the end of the book, because there's so much work left after that, but the end of the first draft. That is this week's goal, the end of the first draft, and filling in those notes to, build this out or research this and make it make sense, kind of thing. It's one of those things where you're writing along and you're like, crud, I need to know XYZ. But if you stop and research, then you're not going to get any more writing done. So you leave a note and you leave a breadcrumb for yourself in the text to go back and fill in those gaps. So those gaps are what need filling in. But I'm very close to the end. I think I have like 1 or 2 chapters and then the epilogue to write for the first draft before I start going back and looking for those breadcrumbs that I left myself. And anyway, but man, oh man, it has been difficult. It has been difficult because the story I'm trying to tell with this book is not just the mystery. It is, there's a couple of big turning points for the main character. And so trying to wrap those up in and amongst the mystery. That's why the mystery side of things of this book changed 3 times before I got out of the introduction of the book, the first few chapters, because I knew that the mystery was almost secondary, and I hope that's not going to backfire on me. Because it is a cozy mystery series, but sometimes when we're dealing, but I'm very much into the, like, it's, when I read books, I want the plot to keep moving forward. And so I'm trying to make sure that the plot keeps moving forward. At the same time, if you have a character that never changes, a character that never progresses or meets challenges, then they're very stagnant and nobody want, and that's not as fun to read. You want to see the character grow. And so this is one of those big growth moments for Mary Catherine, the main character in the book. And yeah, I mean, so kind of making that mesh together is complicated, especially because the mystery involves the subplot of her family line, and then there's also a second subplot, um, where the romantic interest, the romance subplot, which is not my focus of the book. I wasn't even planning on, most cozy mysteries, they do have, there's a potential for a romantic subplot in there. I was not planning on putting one in there myself. The characters decided that for me. That was when I was writing book 1. The characters started leaving those breadcrumbs themselves, and so I'm like, okay, this is where we're heading, but we're not going to make that a focus. We're not going to rush it either, which some of my beta readers have pointed out. They're like, oh, tell me that this happens. Oh my goodness. In terms of romance level, it is a super slow burn. I'm not a romance author. Um, but still, something's going to happen. Um, but that being said, it has been difficult to, I feel like I've struggled with this book more so than book 3. Book 3 had a complicated mystery because I had 10 freaking suspects minimum. I had 10 that I started out with and a few extras in there, and that was a lot to try and juggle. But book 3 was not difficult in the same way that book 4 has proven to be a bit difficult. But that said, I'm really hoping that means it's going to be a good book, and it won't backfire. To that end, that's where we're getting our brilliance moment, our lesson in brilliance is incremental. It's not a constant thing. It's not once you get there. It's not like, you reach a brilliance plateau and you're just chugging along at the same level of brilliance. No, it is hit or miss. It is incremental. It is bits and pieces. If we go back to our diamond metaphor, then we know that, you can mine the mountain. And you're not going to be like, oh, here's a diamond, here's a diamond, here's a diamond. You've got to find them. If we kind of go into, say, panning for gold, that you can get on a good section of dirt. I used to watch that Alaska Gold Rush, I think it was called. Gold Rush Alaska, possibly, way back when it first started, and apparently that's still going on, which, hey, good for them. But, it was like you could get on a good strain, you can get on a good, like, vein of ore, or, the metal deposits, but it's not constant. It's incremental, it's bits and pieces. So that is what I am having to remind myself, is that just because it's not 100% brilliance flowing from my fingertips every time I sit down at the keyboard that it's not still building to a level of brilliance, that it's not still building to, or that it is still building to a a finished work that I hope will show a glimmer of brilliance in the storytelling. Yes, they're short books. Yes, they are simple and fun. There's no great depths of meaning intended in them, but I hope that the characters are relatable and in the situations, while amplified for fiction, you know, these things happen. Um, in book 4, my character gets to know the family that she didn't know she had because she was adopted. She was given up for adoption at birth, and so she never knew her birth family, and she's learning about them. This happens, and it happened because she took one of those DNA tests as part of her job, but whatever. I mean, she wasn't seeking them, but they found her, and that's where the story's going. And it's going to be something where she's a loner and a vagabond, and she's been self-sufficient her whole life, and now she has this opportunity not just to build a community in this town that she's landed in, but also to get to know her family and be a part of her biological family as well as the family that she's chosen, the community that she's chosen. And these are important things that happen to people all the time. They may not be solving a mystery at, at the same time, but I want the scenarios, the backgrounds, to be relatable, and I think that's where those little moments of brilliance lie. That and being able to construct an interesting mystery, which is harder sometimes than it seems. Let me tell you, I'm looking forward to book 5 and 6 and so forth, not having these big sweeping sea changes of like the character's background. I think that is part of like what has been the struggle is like navigating all of that along with the character. Um, but yeah, it's just that's just how it goes. So, like I said, my goal this week is to continue with those incremental moments of brilliance, continue to work for, keep working, keep moving forward. And by the time I get on the plane back to Georgia, late Friday night, my goal is to have the book 1 draft to the end point and then be filling in those gaps. I may not get all those gaps filled in because again, that's our research thing, and then figuring out how much needs to be put into the story and how much I just need to know so that the other things make sense. One of the other things I know I need to do with this book is go through and check my days and dates, because I'm working around like Christmas and New Year's, and I'm like, I've kind of lost the thread. I was not keeping close enough track on how many days it's been since Christmas. Are we at New Year's Eve already? I think we might be. And if I've gone past that, where New Year's Eve is actually a fixed point in the story I need. So I'm like, I might need to shuffle some things around. I might need to condense some days. Um, or rework a few things, because that's a lot to happen in a week, but it's doable. I just need to make sure that my days are right. I can't have it like be 8 or 9 days if somebody starts going, wait a minute, this has been an awful long time. How many, can't have someone fact checking on me when I need to know that myself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a lot of bits and pieces I need to pick the threads back up on. Um, but I'm getting there. Incremental, but I'm getting there. And yeah, so that's my update for this week. I will talk to you again next from Georgia again. I'll be back in Georgia by the next update. I wish you a good week. It is Memorial Day weekend, so we remember the fallen this weekend. Um, so we want to keep that in mind. It's not just a 3-day weekend to um, you know, loaf around and ignore the reason for the holiday, the reason for the remembrance. And yeah, so we definitely want to pay, give a thought to those who gave everything for our freedom. And but also in the week ahead, I wish you safety and health and love. Take care of yourselves. If you have time, if you have the bandwidth, take care of someone else. Those you hold close and hold dear. And as always, don't be afraid to let the world see your brilliance. All right, bye bye.